Hi, I'm here today with AJ Huckaby, Springtree Restoration in the North Texas area. AJ is our immediate past president for the Roofing Contractors Association of Texas. AJ is also the immediate past chair of the government relations program. So really wanted to take a minute with AJ here today to talk about what that means. So one very important thing that RCAT does is have an active government relations program. So we spend a lot of time down at the Capitol, monitoring laws that may be being introduced that could impact your industry, both from a regulation and insurance side. And we also lobby and legislate for regulation. So it's no secret that RCAT has fought for a license in Texas 40 plus years. And in Texas, we get every odd year, we have a legislative session. So unlike a lot of states, we only do it every other year, not every single year. And we have a group of people down there at the Capitol representing you, the Texas roofing industry, to ensure that we fight against any type of regulation or laws that would negatively impact you, and that we advocate for laws that will specifically help you. So AJ's been down there at the Capitol, and he has seen how hard. A lot of people ask me all the time, why can't we get a license in Texas? Why has this not happened? You've fought, we've spent money, we hire lobbyists. So can you give me a little perspective on why you think we don't, we haven't been successful in getting a license in Texas?
Sure. The great state of Texas, a lot of what makes it great is the less regulations, right? So, they were even talking about pulling a plumber's license a couple of years ago. It actually happened, but was stopped at the last moment. And thank goodness, right? Plumbers are still licensed, but that still could go away in the near future. Mm-hmm. We've worked tirelessly to introduce a licensing bill and get it passed. Came really close with the registration bill. 2019. Actually made it out of the House, went to the floor. Yeah. It was huge. The problem with licensing is we have a lot of real companies, a lot of fake companies and associations that tend to show up and lobby against it, saying that it's going to hurt the small business or it's going to hurt the Hispanic community. A lot of different reasons, but at the end of the day, Texas, part of what makes Texas so great is the lack of regulations, right? The freedom to have a business and whatever it may be. Texas needs a licensing for roofing, no doubt. It needs to protect the consumers foremost, right? That's the biggest reason. And not just to say, hey, well, let's license roofing. It's because of all the storms we have. Tens of thousands of homes.
You have 5 different climates in the state of Texas.
Yes, it's huge. We have more hailstorms probably per capita than most states in the United States, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm from the Collin County area, and we've been hit 9 significant hailstorms in the last 7 years, and 2 already this year. And spring's just barely started. So these homes are impacted greatly and often, and we need to protect our consumers and make it a little bit tougher, not necessarily tougher to become a roofing contractor, but be able to hold contractors accountable.
Thank you.
If they, are making mistakes, right? Because honestly, I believe that most consumers and most contractors, most people in general, want to do the right thing. They just need to be led that way. They need to understand what the right way is, right? So like consumers, I feel like they want to do the right thing and pay their deductible and hire a quality contractor. But, when that contractor comes to the door and they choose one, they're relying on that contractor to be the professional, lead them down that right path. Us at RCAT and our sister chapters, that's what we do, is we really work hard to focus on training our members, making sure they understand how to build properly, give them the tools and resources they need to grow. But it's definitely been tough to get licensing passed in the past sessions.
Well, you made a great point about associations or groups of people that they're in name only, right? So RCAT on the other hand, 47 years in business here at RCAT. 47 years we've been down there at the Capitol working on this, and we are 800 members strong. We have an active presence. You can find our activity all the time. Every time there's a storm situation, we reach out to the media and do our best to educate consumers. We have the Safe Roofs Over Texas program, which is specifically designed to advocate and educate consumers. As as well as allow you to submit as a homeowner a letter directly to your legislator in your district on why you feel that regulation for roofing is important in Texas.
Sure.
It's a big deal after Hurricane Harvey, the windstorm in the coastal bend. Obviously, there are so many homes now. I get the calls every day. I at least get one a day, and a lot of times it's 2 or 3 a day. People who their roof warranty is no longer any good, or they're having problems, and it's because they didn't get a windstorm certificate.
Right.
So an influx of roofing contractors moved in to Houston and all up and down the coastal bend, did all these roofs, never pulled permits, never got inspections, and the homeowners did not get windstorm certificates, so now they're not insurable.
Yeah.
That's what that means. They cannot get insurance on their roof now. So another really big important reason that you should do your homework before hiring a roofing contractor. But one of the primary reasons we're down there at the Capitol advocating for legislation and change in Texas. It's not that we want to make it harder for people to get into the roofing business at all. That would never be the intention if everybody played right.
Sure.
If everybody did what they were supposed to do, we wouldn't have to go ask for regulation, but that's not the case. You have a storm situation, suddenly everyone is a roofer, suddenly everyone is an expert, and then I get the backlash. Harvey was in 17, this is 22, and I still get a call every day about this, and people don't know that they're not covered.
Well, more than likely, most of those contractors that came from, maybe Dallas or East Texas, West Texas, out of state, and ran down to the coast to capture some business, they probably didn't realize that there was a different requirement for roofing along a coastal area, right? And a simple licensing or registration would ensure that, they're held accountable for that. They're trained, creating some requirements so that, they can put themselves in a better position to be successful and service these communities that are affected by storms. And it would also help the homeowners out, obviously, right? You wouldn't be getting these phone calls if that contractor, when he came to those coastal areas and had to register as a contractor and had those requirements, being held accountable is huge. Depending on where you're at.
It is huge.
So registration is something that we're going for. And there's a lot of contractors like, hey, why are we, so we want licensing, and everybody's very vocal about that. But, we talk about registration as an alternative and what that does for us, right? If the state of Texas required registration versus a license, what we're going for is that, hey, if you're going to be a roofing contractor in the state of Texas, not a subcontractor or worker, but a company who is contracting with the consumer, you got to register with the state, right? You got to give the state your company name, your address, your information, copy of your insurance. Yep. Pretty simple, right? You just register with the state. That way, if there's an issue, now that consumer can go to the state and hold you accountable, right? And the state gives you an opportunity to correct the issue. And if there continues to be an issue, then that contractor, if they can't correct it, they can revoke the registration, which means they can't roof, they can't pull permits, just different things. We feel like that is a very easy, simple way that's not going to cost the state a lot of money. It's not going to cost taxpayers a lot of money, but a simple way to hold contractors accountable, help them grow and be better, but also protect the consumers they're serving. Right.
And that's absolutely right. And so another initiative that RCAT has worked on, got legislation passed in 2019, is the Deductible Law, Deductible Bill. You hear a lot of talk about here. So it's always been illegal to waive a deductible in Texas, but an Attorney General's opinion issued in the early 90s. Of course, this is back when deductibles were $500, $700. Right. Now they're a percentage of your total home value, and there's a reason for that. Public Texas, you all need to know there's a reason your deductibles have quadrupled in the last 10 years, and it's because of the perpetuation of insurance fraud. Right. So when the AG issued an opinion many years ago, 28, 30 going on now, that waiving a deductible isn't that big of a deal. We're not going to punish it, meaning there's not going to be a penalty or a ticket for that. Well, why? Why was it a big deal for RCAT to want to come in and ensure that AG's opinion was lifted and that a new bill was put in place to assure that there is a criminal penalty involved for you as a contractor waiving a deductible?
Yeah.
I think I get a lot of questions from homeowners going, why is that important? Why is that important to me? Why do you care if I don't pay the insurance company my deductible? And so there's many answers to that. That law did pass. It was signed in, all the way through the House and the Senate and by the governor. And now there is an enforceable penalty against contractors who do this. So can you help explain, from your perspective, to when we're explaining to a homeowner, why is this important to you?
Sure.
Why do we care that you don't give the insurance company $3,500 on your deductible or whatever, $2,000?
Well, so that's the homeowner's responsibility to pay the contractor to make the claim whole, right? It's super important. When I first got in this business, like you said, deductibles were like $250, $500. It really wasn't a whole lot. But now they're 1% of the home value or 2% of the home value. And so, the smallest deductible we see these days is like $2,500. And I've seen them all the way up to $30,000, $40,000 for residential homes, right? The insurance carriers, most insurance carriers use what's called Xactimate. As contractors, most contractors use it as well. It's a fair market value pricing software, right? Every zip code has its own price list basically, and every month that price list updates. So it's fair market pricing. So if you're getting a fair market estimate approved to replace your roof after a hail claim, how do you take $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 out of that fair market value estimate and just waive it or discount it and still put on a quality roofing system? As a roofing company, still have proper insurance, right? Buying quality materials, building the roofing system properly, like taking all the old material off all the way down the deck, meeting code. How do you do all those things as a reputable company if you're not collecting that deductible? How do you stay in business? So I see this two ways, right? One, it's a consumer protection, right? Some people argue, how is that protecting the consumer? It's costing them more money. Well, for the reasons I just outlined, right? How is that contractor buying appropriate insurance and material and building that roof properly if they're taking that big of a hit on every job? And I know there's good profit margins in roofing, yes, but it's also a very dangerous job. It's a very risky job. There's high liability in that
Injury.
job. Yeah, injuries, claims like Mike alluded to earlier as well. So it's consumer protection. It's also holding contractors accountable. Again, consumers are relying on us as the professionals to lead them down the right path when it comes to restoring their home. Well, as a professional, if I'm being relied on and I'm saying, oh yeah, we can cover your deductible, no problem. Now I'm leading that homeowner down a path that can get them in legal trouble.
That's a great point. You're exactly right. So the penalty actually, if you read the Texas Insurance Code, is greater to the homeowner than it is to the roofing company, and it's staggered by value. It can even be a felony in some cases because you're not any less liable than the roofing company is if you lie to your insurance company and inflate a claim in order to cover the actual cost of your roof. So that is typically what happens. They will supplement or over supplement, right, to make up for that difference you've waived, and then you're cheating the insurance company. You're the policy holder, so you are the one really committing the fraud. Of course, the insurance or the contractors on the hook as well, but really at the end of the day it falls right back on to the homeowner. Your insurance company could cancel you. You could be criminally prosecuted for it depending on what they do, but the real issue is the poor materials, secondhand materials. They put on a used product. You're supposed to get a new asphalt shingle roof, and actually it came off the neighbors 3 blocks over. You just didn't see it. It's happened. They roof over old materials. Like you said, they don't tear all the way down and do the job appropriately. They cut every corner, right, is what I'm hearing, in order to make that up. Sure. So that is a big deal in Texas. Another issue in Texas is To you contractors, it's a big deal because it can get you in trouble for the unlicensed practice of public adjusting.
Right.
So let's talk to the homeowners a little bit about what that means. So in the state of Texas, statistically, only 3% of insurance claims filed have a public adjuster who is tied to it and work on that claim. So that leaves 97% of Texas homeowners without a professionally licensed person working on their insurance claim, right? I mean, you do the math, that's exactly what it looks like. So in those 97% of these issues, you are the expert. You should be. You're the roofing contractor.
Right.
You know what needs to go on the homeowner's home. You know what that damage looks like. You know what needs to be replaced, what needs to be maintained. A licensed insurance adjuster is not a roofing expert, but they are there and they serve a good purpose in Texas to help homeowners whose claims have been denied for the wrong reasons, or they're not fairly adjusted, those types of things, right? So in the state of Texas, if a roofing contractor tells you, and actually I saw a billboard driving out of Austin Sunday night that says, "We'll get your roof bought." So that means to you, when they come and say, there's no cost out of your pocket whatsoever. We're going to deal with your insurance company. We're going to take everything off of your hands, you don't have to do a thing. All you have to do is sign this little piece of paper right here. And when your insurance check comes in, you just give that to me. Right? That's what they say. So you're leaving yourself a lot of room for the contractor to be able to commit some fraud if you're not involved in the claim process and you don't know what's been turned over to your insurance company. But then again, you're not a roofing expert as a homeowner. So it's kind of a really gray area that, kind of a catch-22 situation and not good for the homeowner.
Right.
So talk about what we are trying to do legislatively to change that, to provide the homeowner a little more coverage and protection, because 3% just isn't good enough in Texas.
So what we're talking about here is, like you said, the unlicensed practice of public adjusting. And a public adjuster is hired by the homeowner to represent them based on their policy language, right? That contract between the homeowner and the insurance company, right? That's what they're hired to do. They can negotiate based on that policy language in the homeowner's best interest, right? They get hired to do that. As a contractor, we can't. We're not licensed as a PA to review that policy and negotiate with the insurance company based on that policy for the homeowner. And there's also other issues, like you mentioned too, like contractors advertising to be, an insurance claim specialist, or I'll get your roof bought. We can't do those things. It's against this law. But what we wanted to address as RCAT committee was the language in this law that said any person who affects a claim that is not licensed is violating this law. Well, we, as contractors who do insurance restoration, we affect claims every single day.
Every day.
Simply sending in my estimate, photos, a supplement, trying to get reimbursed on a permit, any of those things can technically be seen as affecting a claim. So me personally, I had a big problem with that. I've had adjusters when working claim or working, to provide the information to increase the claim, right, or to affect the claim, have that thrown back at me as a contractor, like, hey, you're acting as a PA, you can't do that, you need to stop now. Well, I'm not acting as a PA. I'm trying to ensure that, hey, we have the budget we need to restore this person's home, and here's all the information. I'm not telling you you owe it because the policy says so. Right. So I have a problem with that, right? Because again, homeowners, like most claims in Texas that are filed, there's something like 3% hire a PA and like 4% or something like that hire attorney. So it's like the greatest majority of the consumers that file a claim, they're relying on the contractor as a professional to create the estimate and provide the information to restore their home. And most of the time, I hate to drop any names, but some folks like on the insurance side of things, like Steve Badger says, hey, that's a gray area that everybody's cool working within. Why are you making an issue of this? Well, why does it got to be gray? Right? It's pretty much black and white. So we worked with the Texas Department of Insurance, the Texas Association of Public Adjusters for a year or more to go through all this information to determine what's a good solution, because everybody agreed this is a problem. And we've done that, and we're still working to finalize it. But our goal as a government relations committee was to protect the consumers, those percentage, because most of the homeowners who are taken advantage by the insurance company, because that does happen, there are bad actors on the insurance carrier side as well, are typically folks with claims less than $50,000, right? You know, Ms. Jones files a claim on her roof. It has obvious damage, should be bought, no problem. Insurance company, for whatever reasons, tighten their belt at that moment and they're denying this roof or partially denying it. Well, because it's below 50K, that homeowner has very few resources to advocate for herself, right? PA probably doesn't want to take it on, public adjuster, right? Because they can only make up to 10% of the claim value. So if you got a $20,000 claim, that means they're only making about $2,000, and it takes them about 4 to 5 months of work to get that done. It's not advantageous for a PA to take that on. Same thing for an attorney. So Mrs. Jones over there with her little $20,000 claim, she can't get it awarded because insurance carriers not taking care of business, and the contractor can only take it so far, right? So we've worked with TDI, TAPIA to change this language up so that contractors don't fall in this, pitfall or, pothole of trying to advocate on their estimate and get in trouble for violating this law.
Right.
And we're going to do that. It's going to happen. And the next step, I think, is RCAT working with other members in this industry like TAPIA, other public adjuster associations and attorney associations, and trying to make things a little bit easier for the PAs as well, so they can get out there and really help the consumers that need their help much easier.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Well, thank you, AJ. I really appreciate you helping explain today what the benefits of the RCAT legislation and government relations program are all about. We do work very hard and advocate for not only the industry as a whole, but for homeowners as well. So again, you can find more information on our website at rcat.net, or saferoofsovertexas.com is our consumer advocacy. If you feel like laws in Texas need to be changed, you want to submit a petition directly to your legislator, go to the Safe Roofs Over Texas site. It's quick and easy. Enter your name, email address, and you can send a letter directly to them. So thank you.
Yeah, anytime.